Oli Olis, hi, welcome to The Double Face, a true crime podcast. Okay, so guys, this one is an extreme doozy, right? I thought we were going to be able to do it in 2 episodes. We were discussing how our notes and so forth, and we were like, there's no way. I don't even think you're going to be able to say much on your part because of how we're going through it, this one, on my part. So with that said, I just want to say this is probably going to be 3 episodes. There's so much information. We're trying our best to put this all under 3, if we can.
I think we can.
I think we can do 3.
3 is best, yeah.
But I just want to say that it's been really chaotic today. And I am trying my best that I've been put through the ringer this afternoon. So we're trying our best to just film today.
For those of you that can't see my shirt.
She loves NSYNC.
Guess who's coming next week? Just real quick.
Who?
Justin Timberlake.
Oh, that's right. She got tickets to it, right?
Thanks too.
I paid some of it.
Some of it and the other best
friend
paid the other.
Before we start, listener discretion is advised. There's a lot of information that is extremely heavy and can be can be what?
Triggering.
Can be triggering. Yeah, sorry. That's what I was trying to say. Off. This is where Fred had followed and did whatever to make sure that Rose was going to be part of his life. He was following her, making sure that he wanted her to be the next nanny, right? So at this point, Rose is in, like at first we can tell that Rose doesn't want to do anything with him. She's like, absolutely not. We're not doing this. But he really is a charmer, and he does convince her, and he tells her, like, let's do this. So this is where we start. One thing that Rose says about Fred is this is really disgusting, is that he was inherently sexual, and she liked that he was like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like, what a disgusting thing to say about a human being, right? I don't know.
It's gross.
It is. It's disgusting. So Rose gets introduced. Rose does, after quite some time, because they're spending a lot of time together. Rose finally says, okay, I'm going to introduce you to my parents. And so she does. She takes him to his parents, and Fred tried to do his charm stuff, honey. And they were not having it. Of course, because they're adults. They're like, no, we don't like this. They said it clearly. You're 27, she's 15. Even the brother, Rose's brother, states he doesn't even look younger than 27. Like, he looks his age or probably older. Because he was disgusting and dirty. So, of course, the parents are not okay with it, and they demanded that she stop seeing him. And of course, what do? When the parents say no, I love him.
We do it anyway.
We do it anyway. So, at the same time, Rose tells her parents, look, I also can't leave. He's also my employer. He's employed me as a nanny, so I don't want to go anywhere. And after they discuss it, they're like, fine.
Because she's going to bring in the money.
She's bringing in some kind of, hopefully, who knows?
I mean, is what they think in their minds, because she's obviously trying to convince them.
Well, it doesn't work because, so Bill and Daisy say, we're not doing this. They tell her it's okay, but at the same time, they ended up calling the police and said, look, this is what's going on. That grown adult is having sexual relationships with my daughter. She's only 15, he's 27. And this is in the summer of 1969. Rose was then separated from him and put into they call it for a home for troubled girls. So she's only there for like a couple of months, and she convinces the staff, look, I'm better. I'm not going to be with him. I don't want anything to do with him. All the good stuff. And they believe her. So they say, fine, we'll let her out. So they let her out and let her go on her merry way. So what does she do? She immediately goes to Fred. I mean, she sees Fred every single chance she gets. She sees Fred so much that she even knows Rena's schedule of
which is the first wife.
The first wife, correct. So just to kind of brief that up, that because Rena's in and out of the kid's life, that of course I'm sure it's super easy to not see Rena at the time. Anyway, so they're seeing each other is the point of this. November 1969, Rose turned 16, and she just says, "That's it. I'm moving into an apartment with Fred, and we're gonna live together happily ever after."
Wow.
Yeah, she has, mind you, she's only 16, so she has this weird mentality of what she thinks life is gonna be like. Like when we did, right? When we were teenagers and we were in love, we thought, "Oh my God, this is the man we're gonna marry. This is the one. We're gonna have a picket fence and so forth."
The white picket fence.
Yes. Well, it doesn't happen like that, of course. When she gets back pregnant, she then has to go back to the home and it takes about a month this time to convince the staff that, hey, no, I'm so much better. I don't know why they keep thinking that she's going to get better.
Yeah.
And she doesn't. Because she also says to them, the staff, "I'm also going to remove the baby. And I'm never going to see Fred again." So they're like, "Fine,
God, the universe really tried to separate them.
They did everything they could. People did what they were supposed to. As much as I want to be upset with their parents as well because of what they did to Rose, but at the same time, they're trying their best. They called the police like you're supposed to, and here we go. But he doesn't. She just stubborn, doesn't listen. She tells her parents, "I'm moving in with them, and that's it. That's final. I'm done with this." And she tells them, "I'm also pregnant." And they said, "Look, fine, you move with him, but we give you an ultimatum. Either you move with him and you'll never come back to this family, or you can stay with us and we'll take care of it." But of course, she chooses to go with him.
Fred.
On October, she gives birth to Heather. Heather's her first child. But within a couple of months, Fred goes back to being Fred. He goes and starts stealing. He starts breaking into cars. He gets caught. Mind you, it's only a couple of months into them living together that he gets caught, taken to jail, and is given 8 months. So Rose is here with the situation of, "Look, I want to play mommy, but I don't know if I want to play mommy to now
It's three.
two kids."
It's three. It's
three, I'm sorry,
Charmaine, it's Anne-Marie, and it's now her newborn child.
Well, not her newborn yet at this
Okay.
point. So that's why I was like saying two, and then she's pregnant.
Okay.
So a couple of months into it, right? She's already starting to take care of the kids. And because not only is the 8-year-old Charmaine being disruptive, she doesn't want anything to do with Rose, and she's not listening to her. She said, "You know what? She tells her, like, "Go do this." "No, I'm not doing it. You're not my mom. I'm not listening to you." Starts getting physically abusive with her. I can imagine that she's already emotionally abusive with her, but she's now being physically abusive with her because she is getting fed up. I feel like this is where Rose is starting to heighten her crazy. Like, remember I told you in the first episode that this is where I think Rose switches.
Yeah.
You know how I told you, oh, maybe she does listen to Fred. Maybe Fred is controlling her. Maybe because she's so young. But I feel like because she's left alone, this is where her true colors come out.
Yeah.
So no matter what Rose would do, even because she would physically abuse Charmaine, no matter what she did to Charmaine would not cry in front of her. She didn't want her to feel like she's winning or that Rose got her in some way. This is an 8-year-old child, mind you. A child who shouldn't even...
So I wonder how early on that started, or where the switch in her head was like, "Nope, I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of knowing that you're hurting me."
Oh, I know. I to be honest, it doesn't... I don't have like details as to where this happens.
Because it's anybody that was either close to Charmaine is not here to tell a story, so it's kind of hard.
But on top of it, it's also, it doesn't have details as to I wonder if maybe that's her way of dealing or coping with the abuse.
It's kind of like, damn, as an 8-year-old, how do you get there and know
Quick.
Yeah, know to learn to cope.
It really is scary
It's
for
crazy.
poor child.
Yeah.
So March 1971, Rose takes Charmaine to the hospital, and there's a puncture wound on Charmaine. And she tells the nurses, like, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. I don't know why this happened, but it was my fault. She makes some type of excuse. Of course, she has it ready to go because I feel like she's good at lying on her feet.
Also, they remember because when we first started this whole going through stuff and kind of doing our little investigation. Remember when we first saw her face? So she kind of looks innocent. She doesn't look like your type of murderer.
You're referring to Rose.
To Rose, yes, to Rose.
And I feel like we can't look at somebody and say you are a murderer or you look like a rapist.
But you kind of do look at people and be like, but because she looks so innocent too, that's probably.
But that's a photo.
Yeah.
Mind you, the reason she was doing that is because she was trying to put up a front. So mind you, she had just came out to the doctors and she's saying, Rose is making excuses for Charmaine. And of course, oh, okay, I understand. Okay, well, you guys go on your merry way. They got, I don't know how they got so away with it so many times, but they did. So right before Fred comes out, mind you, this is around June 15th, they go and visit him, the kids and Rose, and Rose says, finally you're out. It's the 8th month. He says, yes, I'm going to get out in 5 days. I will help you. Whatever he tells her and whispers in her ear. She says, okay, he's going to be out in 5 days. Within those 5 days, Charmaine goes missing. She goes missing, and Rose tells Fred, which you would think it's a little shocking, because Fred doesn't really come out in 5 days. He comes out in 9 days. On June 24th, he comes out of jail, and she just plainly tells him, hey, because he had asked about her before, and she said, oh no, she's fine, or she's missing, I don't know where she is. Well, when he steps into the house, she grabs him, takes him all the way downstairs, and shows her lifeless body on the floor. And of course, what does Fred do? He grabs that child, takes her, and rips her apart, her body. Mind you, she's not mutilated just yet. He mutilates her and then digs her in the backyard. Imagine the kind of relationship that's going on at this point with them two. It's almost like kindred spirits. I hate to say it like that. Kindred murderer?
Murderous?
Whatever. These fucked up people. It's almost like this connection brings them closer together. Fred, he's already fucked up, but they even have a sexual relationship after this because that's how much she's enticed by the way he's taking care of her and the way she's okay with it. Like, it's a very disgusting and disturbing relationships. So fast forward to mind you, this is in June 24th, right? He comes out June 24th. Well, in August, Rena comes back. Let me talk about Rena really quick. I feel like she is to blame for part of this as well, because she disappears. She just disappears so much, and she leaves her 2 children with a woman that is, you can tell, wants nothing to do with these kids, and a man that absolutely wants nothing to do with these kids. You put them in these situations. Why didn't you just take them? Well, August, she finds Fred out and about, and she asks Fred, hey, where are the girls? Oh, they're fine, they're at home. No, where are the girls? She says, oh, they're fine, they're at home. And she goes, no, where are the girls? I want to see them. And he had said no, until Rena says, look, if you don't show me the kids, I'm going to call your dad. And I don't know what happened in between that, but he was scared of his father. So he's like, okay, that's fine. So he gets her in the car And you know that that's like the worst thing to do when it comes to Fred, getting in the car with him. Gets in the car. He drives and takes her to a bar and gets her filthy drunk. I mean, almost belligerent. He gets her in the car, and this is where Rena goes missing. So he then takes her, drives her to...
Finger Post Field.
Sorry, it's because she had that ready to go. Yeah. And this is where they used to live, right?
Yes.
So this
kind
is...
of in that area, yeah.
Correct. So this is where they find her body later on, and we'll talk about that. But now that Rena is murdered, because now that they don't have to worry about it, both Rose or Fred. Well, Rose takes it like the opportunity that she's always wanted, which is the white picket fence, the marriage, all that good stuff. She tells him, well, this is our opportunity. Let's get married. And so they do. They get married. Okay, so after the part that now they're living happily married, right? And they have this 2-story home. They start realizing, well, we should rent out this area on the first floor, and then we can live upstairs. And so automatically in the spring of 1972, she starts getting these lodgers in there. They're the young college students. Mind you, these college students is because there's nothing but college students in the area. She gets 2 of them to get in there. Now, let me tell you something about Rena and Fred. They have this weird relationship with each other that they've always said, if they want your attention, they're going to get it in any way that they can, whether that's sexual or whatever. But how they're going to do it is they're going to test their boundaries. This makes sense as to the lodgers. There are these 2 young kids.
They're the first 2, I think. The first two that come in. Yeah.
Fred's, of course, using his charm, but he doesn't care that Rose wants to have a relationship with both of them.
No.
She wants to have sex with both of them. And so she then does this. Because I think they're not okay with their advances. Like, they're just like, oh, whatever, that's weird. It is what it is. But she starts sneaking into the room at night and having sex with both of them. And she told him, so she tells one of the guys, which his name is Benjamin Stanlin. I think I said that. I hope I said that correctly. Stanlin. Well, she has sex with Benjamin and says, look, Ben, I just want you to know that Fred's okay with it. He's not upset, so this is not going to shift anything like that. So he of course says, fine, it is what it is. And this is where Rose starts getting uncomfortable. Because it's almost like she wants to own him.
Yeah.
It's almost like, that's my property. That's mine. And you can't play with my toy. And she gets upset. But they're not stupid either. So he has a relationship with this girl named Linda Goff. And Linda Goff, it has a learning disability. This is something, I don't know what happens, but it's almost like they all meet in the same place. She has a learning disability. They know this. And so it's almost like they use it to their advantage. Yeah. And so the first thing they tell Linda because she starts coming over, she starts visiting. Hanging out, he starts hanging out with Benjamin and the other roommate. Well, of course, they're charming and they're like, hey, what do we need in the house?
A nanny.
A nanny. We need a nanny in the house. And of course, we want you to live here, free, room and board. Just come and take care of the kids. We'll call you one of our nannies.
Again, they're using the whole nanny idea to lure these young women in. So Caroline had just finished being asked to be a nanny. So that's during the time where Linda comes in, and so she becomes one of the other nannies, so to speak.
So to speak, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. So she's living downstairs with Benjamin. But of course, it's taking care of the kids. Free room and board. It's never free with both of them. It's so scary.
It's always, there's always something to it.
In June, Rose gives birth to Mae June West.
All these names tie in, and it's so weird because obviously they have, as we go on, you'll see how many children they have, but the names are crazy how they all tie in. crazy.
Yeah, and so now there's a total of 4 kids in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So Linda was convinced by Fred to move in for a free room and board, like I mentioned. But in the late of 1972, when they see a girl hitchhiking, they asked Carol Owens, that was her name, Carol Owens, where she's going. And both Rose and Fred are in the car. And she tells him, "Oh, I'm living in so and so, but it's the opposite side of where they were driving." And they're like, "No, don't worry about it. We'll take you home. We'll take you home." And so what does she do? She gets in the car. She says, "Fine," because it was late at night. So she's like, "Fine," because mind you, this is the 70s. Everyone's hitchhiking at this point.
Yep, every single one.
Carol starts talking about her life. Like, she's 1 to 15. And she's starting like, "I don't like my stepdad," starts complaining like, "Oh, my life is hard," and so forth. And ding, ding, we see a winner. I'm sure Fred's like, "Oh, am I eating these words up? Like, this is perfect. I can tell you just to what? Move in and be a nanny." Because it's so weird. They keep the exact same thing over and over and over.
Because they can use it to their advantage because of all the children that they have in the household now.
And so what do? They offer her a job, and she says yes. But first, before she says yes, Carolyn asks her mom, "Hey, do you think this is a good idea? They're offering me room and board, and they're gonna pay me. So what do you think?" And the mom says she's a little iffy at first, and then says, "Okay, go ahead." And so she calls them up. Caroline calls Fred and Rose up 2 days later and says, "Okay, my mom said yes." The only thing is that Caroline didn't know that she was going to have to share a room with Ella.
With Anne Marie.
Anne Marie, I'm sorry.
One is the oldest child.
So she didn't know that she was going to have to share a room with her. Rose started to do something that I thought Fred would have done. So Rose starts almost invading her space. She goes into the restroom while she's in there. She starts touching her leg inappropriately. Like she's invading every single second. Does a knock and walks into the room. Like she's a little uncomfortable. And you could tell Carolyn is just put off by her, but not scared of her.
Yeah.
Just, she's uncomfortable. She doesn't know what's going on, but I feel like this is Rose telling her, "I'm going to see how far I can push these boundaries." Now that I can see where Rose is saying, "Look, I'm already pushed my boundary. Let's see what Fred does." Well, this is when Fred starts taking it further and further. And now Fred starts doing it where he jokingly starts getting sexual and he starts making these crude comments in front of her to make her uncomfortable. But when she does get uncomfortable, he then takes it back. "Oh, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm just messing with you." But she is completely put off. You can tell that Carolyn says, "I am uncomfortable. I am not okay with this." You can tell that it's a difference between Rose and Fred. So after the relationship, the way Fred was behaving, Caroline, of course, then moves out just abruptly. Mind you, they haven't done anything with her, both Fred and Rose. So I'm sure they're like, "Fucking shit," because they want to do something with her. So Caroline goes back home and she's like, "I'm not doing this again." But what does Rose say? "Let's start planning to see how we can kidnap her.
And get her back.
Get her back." And so they start, this is so creepy. So they both get in the car and they start following her like old moves of what they think there's where she could have been.
Yeah.
They go back to the places because they've heard her stories plenty of times. So they go back to the neighborhood and sure enough, it's late at night. They see Carolyn and they say, "Hey, how's it going? How are you?" And she doesn't want to get in the car at all. But they're convincing her like, "Hey, do you need a ride? I know it's a little late." And she says, "Fine." Caroline says, "The only reason I took it is because it was really late at night and my parents wanted me home already.
Yeah.
So I took the ride." She gets in the car, in the back seat. Mind you, who's in the back seat with her? Rose. Who's in the front seat driving? Fred. I mean, Rose starts touching her leg inappropriately. Fred starts making these sexual innuendos and making like crude comments. So he's just blatantly just saying, let's do this. She knew that it was going to be something different because Fred pulls up to an empty parking lot, and that's where she knew it's going to go down. So Carolyn starts, she loses consciousness, comes back, comes in and out. Well, she finally just gets up and she wakes up, but she's waking up to Rose packing her with brown packing tape around her head. If you remember that brown packing tape, we used to use it all the time. You remember which one, right?
Yeah.
So she's wrapping her head. Mind you, they want to abuse her. They want to rape her. They want to use her as much as they can.
Yeah.
And so they take her. They take her all the way home. All this information they're doing to her. But Caroline is, of course, trying to say, I need to survive. And I don't know how to survive, but I know I need to get out of this. So Caroline decides to say, I'm just gonna keep lying. As soon as they take off the tape from her, she's like, oh, okay, let's start cleaning. And Rose says, let's start cleaning. So then, of course, Caroline's like, yeah, let's clean. So she cleans the whole house with her. So then right afterwards, she goes and plays with Anne and Heather. Just to go, like, still continue to play off the idea that she's okay with this. So she even tells Fred and Rose, hey, I want to come back. I want to live with you all. Like, I am comfortable here and I do love it. So Rose says, well, let's go do laundry. She's like, yeah, that's fine. Soon as they pull up to the laundromat, she jumps out. Caroline jumps up. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow, and jumps and makes a beeline for her house.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that Fred has told her, like, if you tell anybody, I'm gonna murder you. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill your family. He says the same typical things that every murderer tells every victim because they want them. They want
to scare them. Yeah.
They want to scare the shit out of them. And so Caroline gets to her house, and at first you can tell she's gone through something. Her mom immediately was like, is everything okay? And Caroline starts thinking about what Fred told her, and she's like, no, I'm fine. And she just goes, are you sure? Are you sure? No, I'm fine, Mom. I'm fine. Finally, the mom says, no, I know you're not fine. Please tell me. You're safe. We're safe. Just tell me. And Caroline says, this is what happened. The mom calls the police and says, look, I can't do this. We need help. So the police go over there and say, okay, well, what happened? And so she relays the story to him, and they go and drive to Fred and Rose's house. And this is so fucking irritating. The police get there, and they are so cocky that they're not going to get in trouble. They're like, oh, yeah, check. Because they're like, can we check your house? Yeah, check our house.
Yeah.
Yeah, check the car. Do whatever you want to do. And as soon as they check the car, they notice that the brown packing tape is there. And a little button from her clothing is in the car as well. And so the cops arrest both Rose and Fred and take them. And immediately take them in. So they go to jail, and they immediately goes... And they'll ask, and the judge said, what were you guys doing with this? And they both said, oh, it was nothing. We were just having relationships with her. We were having S&M relationship with her. And I don't understand why we're here. But mind you, Rose and Fred, because they have 4 kids, the judge saw them as parents and this willing, available child. I don't know why she was there. Why is she even helping them? If it really didn't happen, why is she living there? So what does the judge do? The judge says, oh, you know what? What's the point in going to jail if you're a parent? You guys need to take care of your kids. So I'm not even going to send you to jail. Just go ahead and we'll let you free.
Also, it's also because Caroline doesn't testify, because they make her feel very ashamed, because while she was staying there, she also had relationships with 2 lodgers that were staying there at the time that she was there.
She had both?
She had 2 different relationships. So remember, like, whenever you do, like, when you're raped, they give you the test to get tested.
Oh, yeah.
Well, obviously she couldn't get tested because
she had sex with
she had sex
Ben.
prior, or I guess before, and of course she's not a virgin, or they won't find anything. So on top of all of that, they make her feel ashamed that she had these two partners prior to, so she doesn't testify. So
And
that just adds to that.
And I think this is the worst part of this, is that yes, Carolyn gets away. She's the only victim that actually gets away and survives. But in this entire thing, she's the only one that has to not only be raped and
Assaulted,
tortured
yeah,
by both of them. Now it almost feels like the judge is doing the same thing and the police station. It's almost like they're doing the same thing to her by saying, oh, you know what? You're part of this. Let's just go ahead and go on your merry way. You were part of this. I'm sure you had to be at fault.
Yeah.
It's like they're blaming her for everything that happened
to her. Yeah.
Even though everything she said was true, and they found facts as to what was going on. Rose is loving the fact that she can have a sexual relationship with Fred and not worry about that he's going to get jealous, because he never gets jealous. It doesn't faze him in any way.
It arouses him, actually.
And I think it does with her as well when she murders. We're going to leave it here because we have to do a part 3. So with that said, we just want to say thank you so much for listening. We'll see you later. Dame un besito.
See you part
Bye.
3.